Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. At this time, I would like to ask everyone who is able to stand to join us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will now call this meeting to order. At this time, if you haven't already, please silence your cell phones. Thank you. For those of you who do not have a copy of the agenda or who are attending for the very first time, we will address cases that are first on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by professionals from various departments in the county, and to which there is no known opposition at this time. We have discussed these in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we do not anticipate any further discussion is needed for a decision. So as we go forward, the County Zoning Division Manager, Mr. John Peterson, will read each case into record. Mr. Peterson will ask that you raise your hand as your case is called to signify that you are in attendance. If you are here in opposition to a case that is currently on consent, Mr. Peterson will ask you to identify yourself as that case is read into record. We will then pull that case off consent and hear it as part of our regular case agenda. We will then vote on all the cases still on consent at one time. Once we have approved the cases on consent, we will move to our regular case agenda. With that, Mr. Peterson, please get us started.
And thank you, Madam Chair. Before we begin the hearing, I do have a couple announcements to make. The following cases have been withdrawn without prejudice, and these cases will not be heard today. First case is variance case V119 of 2025, Liam Burns. This case has been withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard today. Next case is variance case V131 of 2025, Oak Homes Development LLC. This case has been withdrawn without prejudice and it will not be heard today. And finally, variance case V132 of 2025, Anna E. Cordova. This case has been withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard today. Madam Chair and Board, also variance case V116 of 2025, Jennifer Wolf. This case was continued by the staff until the December 10th, 2025 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V116 of 2025 will not be heard today. And with that, Madam Chair and Board, I'm ready to start the consent agenda. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for November 12th, 2025. First case on consent is variance case V133, Atlanta Area Council, Inc. Requests a variance to, 1, allow more than one temporary freestanding banner, which is join Cub Scouts yard signs for a duration longer than 60 days, July through October annually. Number 2, increase the maximum square footage for a temporary wall banner, which is join Cub Scouts building banner, from required 100 square feet to 1,200 square feet for a duration longer than 60 days with no 30-day break in between the permitting periods, all year round annually. And number 3, allow more than one temporary freestanding banner, which are game day parking signs, for a duration longer than 60 days with a no 30-day break in between the permitting periods, April through September annually, in land lots 944 and 945 of the 17th District. The property is located on the southeast corner of Windy Ridge Parkway and Circle 75 Parkway, west of Interstate 75. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V133? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V134, Eddie Jesus Reyes requests a variance to, 1, reduce the front setback from required 40 feet to 25 feet, And number 2, reduce the major side setback from required 50 feet to 25 feet in land lot 216 of the 20th District. The property is located on the northeast corner of Kennesaw Due West Road and Hood Circle. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V134? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V135, Nicole Bracy requests a variance to reduce rear setback from required 30 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the western property line in land lot 473 of the 19th District. The property is located on the west side of Cane Ridge Drive, south of Cane Ridge Court. Staff recommends approval, subject to the building enclosure to be 10 feet off the property line. Is the applicant present? Applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V135? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V136, Jefferson Lee Glennie requests a variance to 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 3,248 square foot barn from required 100 feet to 60 feet adjacent to the eastern property line and 23 feet adjacent to the southern property line. And number 2, allow an accessory structure, which is an existing 3,248 square foot barn to be located to the side of the principal building and land lot 480 of the 16th District. The property is located on the southwest corner of Davis Road and Holly Springs Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to no commercial or residential dwelling use of the accessory structure. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V136? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V137, Seamus Joseph Burke and Catherine M. Burke request a variance to reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the northern property line in land lot 904 of the 17th District. The property is located on the west side of Baker's Farm Place, north of Baker's Farm Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. The applicant's representative is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V137?
I'm opposed.
So we got 2.
Pardon?
There's 2 opposed? 2, okay. Let the record show there's 2 opposed, so we'll pull that one off consent, Madam Chair and Board, and hear it in regular order. Okay, variance case V138, Christina Hernandez requests a variance to 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 580 square foot greenhouse, required 30 feet to 10 feet. And number 2, increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from 35% to 37% in land lot 566 of the 19th District. The property is located on the south side of Sawmill Road, east of Smokehouse Place. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, stormwater management comments. And number 2, no commercial or residential dwelling use of the accessory structure. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case V138? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V139, David Daniel requests a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed 288 square foot shed required 35 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the northeastern property line and 6 feet adjacent to the northwestern property line in land lot 132 of the 20th District. The property is located on the north side of Settle Bench Lane, north of Shanty Court. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V139? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board, with V137 off the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns about any of these cases from the fellow board members? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
As amended.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Place your votes, please. Passes 5-0.
Okay, all those folks who are on consent, you're free to leave.
For those who were on consent, yes, you are free to go. If you will do so quietly and quickly so that we may proceed with our regular case agenda. Thank you, thank you. All right, we are now ready to proceed with our regular case agenda. Our procedure here is that Mr. Peterson will read a case into the record. The applicant and/or any representative of the applicant who wishes to speak will be asked to come forward and to be sworn in. Likewise, anyone wishing to speak in opposition or support will be asked to come forward to be sworn in as well. The applicant and the opposition will each have a total of 10 minutes to present their case, regardless of the number of individuals speaking on either side. All testimony must be given from the podium to my right, where full audiovisual capabilities are available. Please be sure to speak into the mic so that we can clearly hear you. Following the presentations, members of the board will ask questions directed to either party. Please note that once comments from all parties have concluded and the public hearing has been formally closed, no further comments will be permitted unless specifically requested by a member of the board. If you are called upon, you will be asked to return to the podium to respond. With that, Mr. Peterson, we are ready for our first case.
Okay. All right, first case we're going to hear today is variance case V113, Burn Boot Camp, Lost Mountain. Request a variance to allow a temporary or permanent sign to cover more than 50% of the window glass in land lot 65, the 19th district. The property is located on the south side of Dallas Highway, south of Scoville Drive. Is the applicant present? Applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V113? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Good afternoon. State your name for the record and share with us the details of your variance request application.
Good afternoon. My name is Brittany Schmidt from Cawthorne, Owen and Sanders. I am here representing Burn Boot Camp this afternoon. Burn Boot Camp is located on 5087 Dallas Highway. It is the furthermost building in a shopping complex in that area. That's referred to as the Shops at Lost Mountain. The applicants today are requesting a variance to allow for their front window signage to remain as it currently is on the glass surface. The intent in doing so is to provide privacy and safety for the gym's members, most of whom are female, and their children who attend childcare at the gym while they exercise. Burn Boot Camp is a community-based fitness facility, and the workouts take place in an open area that is visible from Dallas Highway. The layout of the space makes window treatment especially important. On the front left portion of the building, where members exercise, the windows have partially opaque graphics that provide privacy while still allowing natural light inside. Those designs are a screen that is applied to the window. It is blue in coloring. It is opaque, and it is in the photos contained in the application. Specifically, page 18 will show you exactly what that window covering looks like. All of the blue that you see is opaque. It cannot be seen through from either side. All of the white, and the reason for the white markings is because those are not opaque. Those can be seen through both inside and outside while still providing that privacy and security. The gym sits, like I said, on the left end of the Shops at Lost Mountain. The other tenants in that shopping center include other commercial businesses. Most notably is on the other end of the shopping center is a dentist practice. That dentist office also has window coverings covering all of its windows, likely for similar reasoning, for similar privacy and security interests. That shows that our request is consistent with how other professional uses are operating in the space. Before installing the window graphics as they currently are, the applicants obtained written approval from their landlord and property manager who oversees that shopping complex's general appearance. The applicants have acted in good faith, believing that their signage fit in the property design standards. Only afterward did they learn that the signage did not fit in those guidelines. The applicants respect the guidelines and understand their goal, which is to maintain the shopping center's visual quality. They believe the current window treatments meet the spirit of those guidelines. They're clean, professional, and uniform, and they enhance the building's overall appearance while serving legitimate privacy and safety concerns. Those concerns are unique to a child care facility and to a gym environment. My clients are also first-time small business owners who have invested heavily to bring this location to the community. They closed on the property in April of 2024, had the window signage professionally designed and installed shortly after as a means to provide the privacy and security that their clients are interested in. In all, this variance will provide necessary privacy and safety for the gym members and their children, maintain the shopping center's aesthetics, and align with nearby professional uses that are already taking advantage of similar signage, reflect a good faith effort by my clients to comply with the requirements, and support a locally owned small business that serves Cobb families. For these reasons, we're asking that you all approve Variance 113 on behalf of Burn Boot Camp, Lost Mountain. Thank you.
You have additional time. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
There is not. I believe that everything that we wanted to share is encapsulated in the application, which includes photos for your reference.
Since this is in District 1's house, I'll turn it over to District Commissioner Boulogne.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chair. So, John, and let me just ask you to stay right there. So we're probably going to have a little back and forth, try to work our way through this.
Sure.
Nobody objected. Your landlord doesn't object, but there are these area guidelines that we're trying to work through. So let me start with staff, because staff raised the concern, and I noticed this is not on the consent agenda, so tell us what we have.
Yes, the request is to cover all the windows with the picture that's shown in the analysis. The zoning code limits the coverage to 50% of the total glass. This area is also located in the Dallas Highway Design Guidelines area, which does not allow any coverage of any windows. But keep in mind, those design guidelines are not codified. You know, there's only one set of design guidelines that's codified in the county, and that's the Austell Road Design Guidelines. Prior to Mapleton becoming a city, we did have the Veterans Memorial Highway Design Guidelines codified and the Mapleton Parkway Design Guidelines codified. But currently, these were adopted by the board, but they're not codified as code, so they're guidelines.
But because they were adopted by the board, that they are policy at least, even though they're not code, right?
It is a policy.
Okay. So they could, in the alternative, I suppose, put shades up and pull those down, but then light wouldn't come through? Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And they could, if they wish to, put blinds up to stop people from seeing in, and that wouldn't violate that policy, right?
That's correct.
All right. So I guess another question is it your thought that this is less expensive to do it that way rather than using blinds or shades, or?
Sure. So a couple things. With respect to blinds and shades, this facility is an exercise facility. It's a gym. And so when we think about installing shades or blinds or something that's going to cover the entire window, we also have to think about the safety of that and how that might interfere with the gym equipment that abuts directly to that window. Think treadmills, ellipticals, things like that. It's an open space. Picture your average gym with the exercise equipment abutting right along those windows. That's why different valances, window shades, blinds haven't seemed like a practical option in the past, and why they chose to go in the direction of the adhesive signs to begin with. With respect to the financial aspect, of course, that's a concern. The signs are there. They've been installed. They were professionally done in a way that my clients hoped would achieve the county's goals, so they would be expensive to remove and expensive to replace.
Okay. So does the guideline say there can't be any signs at all on the windows, or does it say something?
The design guidelines say that there should not be any covering on the windows.
But a lot of,
But-
a
but
lot of,
in-
a lot of folks have some.
Lots of have some, and in the comments for the design guidelines, you know, they would allow up to 25% to be covered.
Okay. Now, I guess my next question would be something in the nature of what makes a sign as opposed to just like opaque, like an opaque stenciling or something,
Or some sort of tinting.
right? So that'd be my next question for us to think about.
When,
By the way, I'm just brainstorming here. There are other, spitballing would be another term. I'm not trying to glorify what I'm doing. I'm just working through on the fly.
and the way the design guidelines read it, it pertains to window displays, which include posters, signage, or anything that's like that. So a window treatment, like a blind or a shutter, would not apply.
So I have a question. Can I say?
Sure.
So if it didn't have the wording, what I'm just looking right now is like set, inspire. If it didn't have these wordings and it was just either like blue or white, would that be considered, would that be against the design guidelines?
It's possible, Commissioner Swanson, because it says, all front windows shall be clear of poster, signage, or any other type of window displays. So the idea is to be able to see in and see out of the business.
So then, though, if we said you need to put some window coverings, that wouldn't be allowed either.
Well, window treatments are a little bit different than window
treatments are
displays.
different than, but if we have nothing on here except like a blue, just blue, no wording, so it's not it's no advertisement, would that be, that's still different than having lines?
For the purposes of discussion, might I add also, in my estimation, I look at this as vinyl on window. And I don't know that I look at it as anything other than vinyl on window. So it can be seen in and out of, it's a covering, and per the business, I would assume not being able to see in for protection of those patrons and children, I think that might be a different hardship to consider, in my estimation.
I guess I still go back to the question, if it was just a blue where you can't see in or out, to protect the patrons there and the children, but it didn't have this advertisement, that would be no different than if you had blinds. Is that right? I don't,
I can tell you that
Mr. Johnson?
our interpretation of it was that it's the window covering in general, and didn't hinge as much on whether it was an advertisement or what it showed, but that it existed there at all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Johnson, can you help us with this?
Without having researched this or looked into it, I mean, I think that there would be a discernment or distinguishing between a sign that is tempting to advocate or persuade or to lure or advertise, as opposed to something where there is coverings or treatments or privacy protection. I mean, again, our code regards signs, and I think even the design guidelines here is contemplating signs and coverings, but I think that the discretion for this board to make is whether or not that would include treatments and the blinds. I think it's a part of what this board needs to decide.
Can you tell
whether or
me
not-
the area that's encompassed in the Dallas design area?
It's the entire length of Dallas Highway from the county line to Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park.
That's a little ways.
It's a long ways.
I was going to do an informal survey, but I don't know if I have that much time in my life, but, okay.
And I'm looking at the specific section for storefront windows. And it says, all ground level windows facing the streets shall be of clear, unpainted glass to allow views of store interiors and display windows. So if it's attached to the glass, what Kim's talking about, then I think they can't do that. If it's detached from the glass, I think they can do something similar to that.
Do you know what year this group met and came up with these guidelines, and if they ever meet again or revisit these things?
1920.
Commissioner Bloin, I would guess these have been in effect for at least 10 to 15 years. And it's my understanding that the group that oversees this has not met about it since then. You know, it's not been updated.
Would this maybe be something that we might do well to hold for 30 days and talk about it at work session after doing a little fact digging and research?
Sure.
That's
Can
right.
we also research the terminology paint? Because I don't believe that this method of attachment is painting. So we want to kind of define method of attachment, method of annexation too.
And then also there's the consideration that it's already got that kind of treatment in that area of shops. So it seems to be inconsistent that one shop has it and be able to research what they've gotten approved.
I agree. I think that we need to research the road to see like what kind of signage is there. This has been caught, I don't know what other buildings are doing, you know, internally are on Dallas Highway. So I think like I would support putting this on hold and we can do a little more research on this road.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would
And-
be
and we'd welcome
fair to
you-
that area to have a consistency going
Correct.
forward with some direction.
I agree.
We'd welcome you to do kind of the same survey and bring us back some pictures next month, and we'll try
Absolutely.
to deal with it. That'll be my motion then, that we hold this for 30 days and,
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Call to question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Passes 5-0. Next case, Mr. Peterson.
Okay, moving into the regular cases. First case, and the only case we're going to hear is variance case V137, Seamus Joseph Berg and Catherine M. Burke. Request a variance to reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the northern property line in land lot 904 of the 17th district. The property is located on the west side of Baker's Farm Place, north of Baker's Farm Road. The applicant is present, and earlier there's 2 people here opposed. All those who wish to address the board, either for or against the application, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good afternoon. We are familiar with who you are, but if you will identify yourself.
Sure, thank you.
And give us the details of your variance application while you set up. Absolutely. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members, Madam Chair. My name is Kevin Moore. I'm here on behalf of the Burks, Joseph and Katie Burke, in this application for a variance. I've represented the Burks and their family in any number of issues over the years, not related to their home on Baker's Farm Place, but for their business, and I'm always happy to be representing them in their interests. And so that brings me here today to present this variance application to you today. For Joseph and Katie's personal residence located at 4280 Baker's Farm Place. This is a variance request to reduce a minor side setback from 12 feet to 5 feet so that they can construct an enclosed attached garage as an improvement to their existing home at this location. Now I'm just going to go ahead and turn to the overall site plan and explain exactly the context of what's being proposed. as well as provide some additional materials for your consideration as part of this application. Is it ready? There we go. Thank you. All right, turning to the plan itself, here's Baker's Farm Place. This is the Burke's residence. This is the existing house here with the existing circular driveway and the driveway that also comes up along this side here. What is being proposed is this small garage addition to their home. The setback, 12 feet, follows along a parallel line on the side of their property, reducing at its smallest point to 5 feet at that location. Also, I think it's important to note this proposed garage addition would be entirely located on and within the existing driveway pad. The driveway does extend and come up and turn here, so it's not disturbing or placing any more impervious on the property itself, and I think that's noted by Stormwater in their comments, because the entire addition will be contained within their existing driveway paver system. I think it's always helpful to have pictures that can show you exactly what's being proposed in the context, and certainly within this neighborhood. This is a rendering that was prepared by Mr. Burke with the help of his architectural team. It shows the front of their house, and you can see very nicely here, this is the existing house. This over here, to the right-hand side of your picture, would be the addition of the garage. So you can see how contextually it fits in to the lot, fits into the overall architecture of the home and the road to have an additional garage at that location. A little bit about the neighborhood itself. This is a neighborhood that's located in Vinings, and wanted to give you some further examples just of the neighborhood itself, and we'll go into more detail as well. This exhibit shows you here is that same rendering that you saw, which again shows how nicely that fits in terms of the overall architectural design of the home. Also, what we wanted to highlight for you is at 4290 Baker's Farm Place next door, you'll see that a garage in the same sort of fashion, extending to the side of the home, was constructed. Also, 4269 Baker's Farm Place, also on the same street. Again, you see a garage. This one was one that was added in 2010. Those are two homes that are literally on the same street as the subject for this request. And the purpose of this is simply to highlight for you that may not have visited Baker's Farm Place or this particular neighborhood in Vinings, that what is being proposed is highly, highly consistent with not only the homes that are in the area, but what's been constructed or added onto in homes in this particular neighborhood. These homes this is not a new neighborhood in Vinings. It's one that has been around for quite some time as families have moved in and had different designs and different remodeling projects as well. And I think that's also very much reflected in what I'm going to show you now. Now, this is a screenshot from Cobb County's own GIS map, and this is highlighting for you the variance requests that have been approved in this very neighborhood. To give you some context about location, this is Baker's Farm Road, and this is Baker's Farm Place. And you see in yellows highlighted, that's the Burke's lot and home there. And then you can see through this neighborhood, an additional 6 homes, all within the very same neighborhood of Baker's Farm Road and Baker's Meadow. 6 locations and 6 homes where variance requests have been approved through the years to allow for renovation projects very, very similar to what's being proposed here today. And I think that's also important for your consideration when you're looking at potentially granting a variance or approving a variance request, and that is, what does the neighborhood reflect? Has this been done before? Obviously, is a good question and a good consideration for you, but why? And so how does this reflect on the neighborhood overall? And what you easily see here is variance requests being granted throughout this neighborhood on multiple occasions at the following addresses: 2872 Baker's Farm Road, 3030 Baker's Meadow, 2919 Baker's Farm, 3023 Baker's Meadow, 2995 Bakers Meadow Lane, and 2970 Bakers Meadow. Those are the addresses that are reflected in this map to demonstrate for you and confirm for you that this exact type of request is not out of the norm for this particular neighborhood, as this neighborhood has evolved over time with new homeowners coming in that have been undertaking certain projects to either renovate or expand their homes, much like the Burks are proposing here, and in many instances of these where additional garages or an attached garage has been constructed. And in fact, I do want to also, because this is it's certainly unusual in zoning cases, but it's also, I think, unusual in variance cases that there is such community and neighborhood support for a specific applicant. In this instance, and so I'll provide it to the clerk as well, we have the signatures of 12 different, not only contiguous type neighbors on Bakers Farm Road or in Bakers Farm Place, but also non-contiguous supporters that were in this very same neighborhood that I have highlighted for you. So I'm going to first provide that list to you, and it's got their addresses and signatures, and it's a total of 12 that he was able, and the Burks were able to obtain their full support for their petition. But in addition, we received 5 written support letters, either in the form of an email or a separate letter from these neighbors. I'm also not very typical to receive, in addition to just simply somebody signing something saying I support, but for somebody to take the time to actually write and express their support as a neighbor. And I just want to read one piece of it because I think it's a good statement that gives you a good sense of how some of these neighbors believe. And that is, Bakers Farm is a wonderful neighborhood, but many of the original homes were not designed with garages that fit today's lifestyles, especially for families with children. Over the years, several homeowners have added or expanded garages for this very reason, and the Burks proposed project follows that same pattern of thoughtful improvement. And through the 5 written letters we have here, you see that repeated over and over again, where these neighbors are expressing their support for that very reason. These neighbors are expressing their support because they believe that it continues to add value to their neighborhood, given that when the homes were constructed and what we consider more modern, up-to-date types of living arrangements for families with children, for those where there's certain expansions and renovations that can occur. Again, this doesn't detract from the value of a neighborhood. It enhances the value of this neighborhood for what it has become over the years, very much through the granting of variances, just like the variance that's being requested here today. So I'm also going to provide that to the clerk so those can be included. I won't read all of the letters because they're all very repetitive in that regard. They're differently written, wasn't a form letter generated, but very much, I think, instructive as to how the neighbors feel, or the majority of the neighbors feel. We understand there's opposition here today. I'm here, I can answer any questions that you may have. Also, Joseph and Katie Burke are here as well and can answer questions that I might not be able to. And with those considerations, we respectfully request your approval of this variance request. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, before you sit down, since you have 24 seconds left, you were saying that you had gotten signatures of neighbors. Could you point out on the map of where the property sits and the signatures that you have received? Sure. Please.
And I'll do my best because the addresses aren't reflected on this diagram, but I kind of know where some of these are.
That would be helpful, thank you.
Sure, we need to do exactly. So in terms of the contiguous, this is 4280 Bakers Farm Place. We also have 4290 Bakers Farm Place, which is on the same cul-de-sac here and adjacent. You also have 4279 Bakers Farm Place, and 4203 Woodland Brook Drive. This is Woodland Brook back here, so that's to the rear. There's additional signatures either on that are from Baker's Meadow Lane, which is here in this neighborhood, as well as on Baker's Farm Road. This is Baker's Farm Road. Again, it's a cul-de-sac road that ends here, and there's half a dozen of signatures along Baker's Farm Road, so through this area here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from the opposition. If you will state your name for the record and tell us at the podium and tell us what you would like for us to hear.
Hey, my name is Stanley Snellings, and I'm a resident, next-door resident of the Burks. We live at 4270 Baker's Farm Place. This is my wife, Rhett. We just got back in from out of town. I don't have any audio-visual, but I did bring some exhibits, if I may present them to you. That'd be all right. You're taking 5, and let me have one.
If you will give it to the county staff, they'll, thank you.
I'm a resident, lifelong resident of Atlanta, and I've been a 10-year resident of Cobb County off and on. 4 years ago, my wife and I bought our residence at 4270 Baker's Farm Place. Baker's Farm is a neighborhood that was built by Dick Goodsell back in the late 70s and early 80s, and it's a beautiful neighborhood that's comprised of approximately, I'd say, 50 homes. 1 acre lots. It's well wooded. It's down by the Chattahoochee, and it's just really a gem in the Vinings area. We bought the property, wanting the things that obviously present itself, like peace and quiet and woods surrounding our house, and just being in a nice, quiet neighborhood. I work mostly out of the house. We have 8 children and 11 grandchildren that come visit us often. And we just love the neighborhood and everything about it and have tried to be good neighbors. And we hate it that this is an adversarial process because we don't want to be bad neighbors. We've tried to be good neighbors the entire time we've been there. But, they've got these petitions that they presented and all of these signatures, but the ones that I think are the most important are ours because we're the next door neighbors who are directly involved in this and affected. And as I said, they've got some variants that have been done in the neighborhood. I don't know, they may have been for a fence or a doghouse or whatever else. But the truth is as I said, there are 50 houses in the neighborhood. So I don't know if you'd consider that a majority or not. Some of the signatures that they've gotten are from people on Woodland Brook who have no interest in this. And again, the only one that's the most interested is me and my wife. Right. We did an engineering survey because we've got foundation problems that are caused by water runoff. And bringing a structure closer to our property line, we think would negatively affect that even more, the money that we're going to spend. The pictures that we provided to you, some of them show the view from our side porch, which is a haven for us at our house, where we look out the front and the back and the side to, what was woods. You'll see one picture in there that shows the woods of our backyard before the Burks moved in, and then what they did to our backyard after they moved in. It's completely raised, nothing but tree stumps and hay or grass, where there once was woods and deer and birds and everything else. And now they want to build a 2-story, 1,500 square foot garage hanging over our property line, hanging directly over our screen porch, where, again, our screen porch is 1,500 square feet, and this is the time of year where we get a lot of enjoyment out of it. As I understand, the zoning laws, they're there to protect not the property owner, but his neighbors. And our protection exists in that 12-foot boundary line. To stick a 2-story garage directly hovering over our porch would devalue our property, considerably. And as I understand the burden of proof in a situation like this, the burden is on the one that is asking for the variance out of necessity. And this certainly is not the case here. I'm sure the other garages that were built in the Vinings neighborhood, they were either unopposed, or they didn't violate the variance, or there wasn't a neighbor who was as deeply affected by this as we are. I don't like to be that guy. I don't like to be one to come into a public forum and create problems for my neighbor, but at the same time, I've got a piece of property that I want to protect. And there are a lot of neighbors who didn't sign the petition, a lot of neighbors who didn't sign a form letter that I'm sure was solicited. But you've got two people standing here before you that are taxpayers that want them to improve their property within the zoning laws that exist. And if it wasn't going to be an eyesore for us, I'd let it go. If our screen porch perhaps was on the other side of the house, I might let it go. But this is invading our privacy. And that's the most special right that we have provided to us by y'all in this county and this government. And thank you.
Thank you. Since this is in District 2, I'll turn it over to District 2 Commissioner, Ms. Swanson.
What I first would like to do is, one of the issues that was addressed was with regards to stormwater. So I would like Mr. Heath, our stormwater management manager, to please come forward to talk to how this is going to affect stormwater and impervious.
Yes, thank you. Andrew Heath, Cobb Stormwater Management. And it appears to me, as best I can tell, the applicants have a driveway or a parking area, however you want to refer to it, on that side of the home. So where the proposed garage is going to be built is largely on an area that's already impervious now. And so it really doesn't make much of a change in impervious area for the site. I believe, as I recall, the site's impervious area now is about 23.3, if I remember correctly from the site. So it's not, as an overall site, it's not a very impervious site. And the amount of impervious area that they would be redeveloping is less than our threshold that would require us to do something, to mitigate that. The main concern that I had for it is that in that area there, kind of right along the property line between the applicant's property and the opposition, who you heard speaking here now, is that as you kind of move a little bit further back on the lot, the grade kind of wants to fall away toward the opposition who you heard speaking there. And so I sort of envisioned that when I was reviewing it. And so what I asked them to do was capture their downspouts and drainage from that side and carry that around behind the house where the grade just falls away directly to the creek and that water can't run off onto the neighbor anymore. And so I hope that that will mitigate the stormwater issue from it. So.
Okay, do you have anyone have any questions? Thank you very much. I would also just like, let's make you be a yo-yo. I'd also like to have Mr. Snelling come back up. I just want to talk to you about where your property sits on this map. I'm thinking it's next to it, but if you could point it out, just come up. And they'll give you, hold on, before you speak, come to the mic, and I'll ask you a question. Thank you. So can you give him a pointer so he can point to the map that we have in front of us, the picture?
This is a survey.
I don't need a survey. Just the map that's on, does he see that map that we're looking at?
GIS is there, but there's nowhere here.
So you're here.
So if you face
You're
his
here.
house,
Okay, that's,
we're to the right.
okay.
We're
And-
on the side where he's building the garage, and our porch is on the left side of our house.
Okay, okay. And so he's proposing to build his garage. Can you point on, give a little marker? No, you just have to go, can you help him where he can point?
On the driveway, he's proposed to build on the driveway.
Here? Okay.
He is the GIS down there.
The GIS person. Can you help him?
Also, his driveway has like multiple sinkholes in it already.
Okay, that's fine. I just need to have these. Thank you very much. So then where you're circling, this is the back of your property?
Right where he's circling is our screen porch.
Is your screen porch? And then right where the garage will be
Is our living room.
Is right there.
is right here?
Yeah. And so if you see from one of the pictures, I think it's R 4 or 5, you'll see a picture going out from our screen porch, looking out towards the front of our house, and you'll see that there, right now, there's clear vision and trees and grass and all that. And when the garage goes up, we'll be looking at a wall.
Okay,
So we're looking at a wall from the front of our porch, and we're looking at what used to be woods from the back of our porch, which is now, well, whatever you want to call it.
okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Does anyone have any questions? You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore, can you come back up? So they're proposing to put the garage, I wish I had a pointer, to this side here,
Yes.
right off of this driveway, existing driveway. Correct?
Correct.
Is there any room between where they're proposing to put the garage, this will be the side of the garage, to the property line? Is there room to put some sort of trees that could buffer the garage to that property?
Yes, there's room for us to plant trees along the line. Sure.
There is?
Be happy to.
Okay.
Some additions, there's some additional hedges that are coming from the street, not additional, but there's existing hedges that come along the property line, and we could pick up beyond those hedges with additional trees. Sure.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have an overview of what you want to build again, from a top-down visual, like a bird's eye?
Yes.
And so the entrances now to this would be from the front instead of from the side to this garage, correct?
Correct. So just, we can go back to the rendering, but yes, you would just come straight ahead into this garage now. That's right. Correct.
Okay.
And then the part that Mr. Heath was referencing, this is the stream that crosses the properties to the rear with the buffers and setbacks that are shown there as it goes back down the hill. So it's constrained in that manner.
And the only place you'd be 5.34 feet off is on that one point on that corner. And by the time you get to the back corner, you'd be more like, I'm guessing 7, maybe 8?
By the time you get to the back corner,
Because
it's just under 12 feet.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because you got the 12-foot building line there. Okay.
Right, so the 12-foot building line, if you can kind of follow where I am here, is here. But the way the house sits, the house doesn't line up parallel to the building lines because of the curve in the road here. And so, but if you add the garage here, the closest point is the 5.3 feet at that one corner, but then it drops back at an angle. So at the back, it becomes right just less than 12, probably like 11 feet at the back of the garage point there.
All right. And there's an existing tree there barely on your property? No, I guess just over. Whose property is that?
There's existing pavers, which is what's being
Okay.
pointed out there. There is a tree over there that will not be impacted.
Okay. And even with that tree, you think there'll be enough room in there to add some evergreens or something so they're not having to look into the side of the house?
Yes, and Mr. Burke confirmed that. And he's in development and construction as commercially. So he's very familiar with the aspect of making sure you can plant trees. So yes, those can be planted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you. As with all variances that we look at is the shape, size, and topography of a piece of property that is creating issues where a person can't build something that would be to our code specifications. Looking at this property, it does have some issues being on a curve. Also, the shape of it, and the other concern that I had too is that there's a limit of what they can build on this property because of the stream and the stream buffer that we have. And the other thing that is a positive for this piece of property and is that in building this proposed garage is that it's not going to impact our impervious surface, which is a good thing because we have so many problems with water runoff. And so basically, according to Mr. Heath, is that there's going to be there's not going to be an additional water runoff to the neighbor's property. In fact, it may be reduced even a little bit more because the requirement, if this is approved, the requirement is to make sure that all gutters and downspouts are down into a system that will be approved by stormwater management. So basically, if anybody has any more questions, I'm here to make my motion. So I make my motion that we approve variance V137 and that we add staff comments, stormwater staff comments, that we also add no living and no business. Since it's a two-story building, there's no living and no business. And that in the garage, no living or business in the garage. You can live in your house. I also would like for the applicant to meet with our county arborist so they can discuss the number of trees or bushes, something that will help the neighbors buffer this addition to what is interrupting their views from their windows, and the county arborist can give the guidelines of what will be placed there as well. That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Summer. Our call to question, please. It passes 5-0. Mr. Peterson, are there any other cases that we need to hear today? All right. Since those are all the variance cases, I guess it would be in order for us to go to our minutes and adjourn the regular meeting, or just to stay for the next case?
We'll go ahead and complete conducting your approval of the minutes and those business, and then we'll take about a 15 or 20-minute break before the start of the weed appeal hearing.
Understood. All right. So with that being said, has everyone had a chance to review our minutes? And if so, can I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Russell. So moved. So we will take a 15-minute break. I'm sorry. Y'all, this is my first day on the job. Thank you, thank you. Okay, can we call that to question? Let me slow it down. Call to question. Place your votes. It passes 5-0. Our minutes have been approved, and we will now take a 15-minute recess as we prepare for our appeal case. I was a little excited on the gun there. But welcome back. We actually have an appeal hearing that we need to hear. I will now turn it over to Ms. Debbie Flair, who is our hearing officer. If you will take it away.
Good afternoon. Debbie Blair with the County Attorney's Office, and I'm serving today as the hearing officer regarding an administrative appeal as to a weed lien citation that was assessed against Mr. and Mrs. Luffman. I have spoken with Mr. Luffman, and he is here. We're going to keep it a little informal today. He's going to make a statement here, and then Brian Johnson will present on behalf of the Code Enforcement Department and call his witnesses, that kind of thing. And then once the matter is before you, you can deliberate, you can ask additional questions of Mr. Luffman as he is up there, or after. You can call him back up to the podium. And of course, the same, you can question Mr. Brent Farrell as well as you desire. So I will call Mr. Luffman to the podium and swear him in. Could you raise your right hand?
Yes.
I was going to say, put you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
I swear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Okay. Hello, my name is Brian Luffman. This is my daughter, Carter Luffman. We have lived in Cobb County for 2.5 years now in District 3. I'm here today because of a weed ordinance that I'm trying to overturn for a section of my yard. Would just like to state that I'm a devoted Cobb County citizen who volunteers with Cobb Water, picking up trash cleanups on the creeks. I also volunteer in the Adopt a Stream program, so I go to a stream monthly, check it out, and make sure that it's doing well. There's no sewage flowing into it. And then I am also in the search and rescue program with the Cobb County EMA. Here before you today because I would like to have a pollinator garden in part of my yard. So this is the front yard, and it is a small stretch. I'm not asking for my entire property. I'm asking for a small section of my yard where I would like anything and everything native to grow there. So with native plants, this is really cool because I'm a beekeeper. So I've been doing extensive research. I'm a certified beekeeper through the UGA program. So I've had to study up on everything pollinator. That means bumblebees, carpenter bees, butterflies, anything like that. So it's very cool to see that all the birds around my area have been bringing in native plants. This includes prostrate blue violets, spiderwort, all that bloom early to mid-spring. Now, what I'm doing here is promoting an increased population for local pollinators, which are declining. These insects that live in this area of my yard are going to be beneficial to the bird population as well. I know that the big concern is that it is an uncontrolled area. I want to make sure that we understand that this is a managed space. I'm constantly looking at it to make sure that non-native species are not growing within that area. I'm making sure that this is a positive impact to my yard and my environment around me. And lastly, I do not spray pesticides in my yard to, again, promote those local pollinators as well as my my honeybees. Last thing I want to talk about is something called the dearth. This is where nectar in flowers is very reduced. This comes in the summer. So when local pollinators like these carpenter bees and bumblebees need nectar available to them, it is very hard with a lot of these grass regulations where everyone has a desert of lawn that there's no flowers or anything to help out these local pollinators. So I'm trying to promote something that will be for 6 months, from March to September, where I will have native plants that both the birds and I will be planting in that one area. I will be mowing the rest of my yard, a much larger area, and just trying to be a little more nature conscious in what I'm trying to do in my, my home. Thank you.
And you can step down if that's all you have right now. And again, you can call him after. And Mr. Johnson?
Good afternoon, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. My name is Brian Johnson on behalf of Cobb County Code Enforcement. We're here today to ask this board to hold Code Enforcement's decision to issue the notice of violation to Brian and Megan Luffman for failing to maintain their property located at 1720 Cedar Grove Drive in Marietta. In this administrative appeal, the board must determine whether error was committed by Code Enforcement for issuance of the notice of violation. The burden is on the property owner to show that the condition of the property did not constitute a public nuisance, meaning the property was in compliance with the county code. The weed control ordinance was adopted by the Cobb County Board of Commissioners under their police power, and the police power is delegated to the counties via OCGA 36-120, which provides that each county may adopt ordinances for the purpose of protecting and preserving the public health, safety, and welfare of its citizenry. Cobb County Code Section 8312 states it shall be unlawful for any owner of the property to permit weeds exceeding 12 inches of any portion of the property unless exempted as described in this section. The code language is clear and unambiguous. Properties in Cobb County must be maintained with grass of 12 inches or less. This is a simple case. The photographs that you will see shortly will show that it was clearly not in compliance with Cobb County Code at the time of the notice of violation. I have a short PowerPoint at this time before I call the Code Enforcement Division Manager up to testify. These are pictures at the time of the notice of violation. The Georgia Code applying police powers to the county to protect its citizenry. The Cobb County Code section in question here, that property owners are required to keep grass and weeds shorter than 12 inches. And a picture of a few weeks ago of the current state of the grass, and it appears to have been maintained by this point. And at this time, I'd like to call Brent Farrell up here to provide some evidence. Do you affirm to swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and position with the county.
My name is Brent Farrell. I'm the Code Enforcement Division Manager
And how long have you worked with the county?
since 2005.
Have you worked in the same capacity?
I've been in this position since January of 2023.
In your position as Code Enforcement Manager, are you familiar with the weed control ordinance?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you a certified copy of said ordinance. Are you familiar with what is shown in this document?
Yes.
At this point, I'd like to enter this into evidence, Exhibit 1. How does code enforcement learn about potential violations?
We primarily through citizen complaints, through phone or email. Sometimes we have proactive complaints as well.
And how was this violation?
This was a complaint that was called in to us.
What type of information is gathered by staff when a complaint's made?
We get the location of the complaint and the description of the complaint.
Are all complaints investigated by staff?
Yes, if we have the authority to enforce what the complaint is in reference to. If not, we'll forward it to the appropriate division.
In the ordinance you just looked at, and we entered into evidence, section 80 through 12, can you describe what is prohibited?
Any grass or weeds that are over 12 inches in height.
Have you reviewed the case file for this address?
Yes.
I'm going to allow you to look at this. This is the notice of violation and the report that we will enter into evidence as Exhibit 2. Are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
Who prepared this report?
This was by Officer Danny Harrell.
And is this the type of report that is kept in the regular course of business and code enforcement?
Yes.
And it's regular practice for community development staff to prepare such reports?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, could you let Mr. Luffman just look at that and
Sure.
acknowledge before?
Hear me? I'd like to this be Exhibit 2, please. Is that better? When was the first time that code enforcement issued a notice of violation for this property?
Notice of violation was issued August 26, 2025.
I'm going to provide you some pictures of the subject property. These were taken on August 26.
Yes.
And then the second set was taken on October 29th. I'm going to enter these into evidence as Exhibit 3. Thank you. So in summation, the determination of code enforcement that this subject property was not in compliance with county code on August 26th.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. In closing, code enforcement in the county asked this board uphold the decision of code enforcement to issue a notice of violation on the subject property, and that's the determination to be made for this board. Thank you.
And it's to this board to, if you have any other questions of either party, and to deliberate and decide how to proceed.
Do any of us have any questions? Go ahead and lead.
First of all, can we see the exhibit, the pictures from, was it August? Can we see?
August 26th, can we see the pictures from August and then the subsequent pictures from October?
Mr. Luffman, if you can come back up to the microphone, please. I had a few questions. So the photos that we've seen, there's the mailbox side of your driveway, and then there's where the sign is
Yes,
about
ma'am.
the pollinators. Okay. So where the sign is that the area that
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
wanting to keep for pollinators?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think I heard you state that you have planted or you have certain flowers or species that are growing that are not just grass.
Correct. That is the native plant species that seeds from birds have grown there. Now, my plans going forward, if this gets approved, it's going further and adding more native plants like bee balm, purple coneflower, and black-eyed Susan. Now, if I'm planting all of these, I'm unable to mow that yard, I would just be killing all of those new plants.
Would you possibly consider creating a large flower bed that, if it's a flower bed, it would be distinguished separately from your open yard? And those flowers that you're growing in the flower bed itself are not held to the same standard if it's just your grass in your yard?
So if I understand correctly, if I was to frame that piece of the yard and mow it and till it and plant seeds, that would be considered the flower bed that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Question for you.
Yes.
Have you considered relocating it to the rear of your home as opposed to the front?
Right, so I'm already doing some stuff similar in the backyard. I don't have as much space as I'd like to, because I have big plans for the backyard. We have an approved chicken coop back there. I'm doing more and more in the backyard. I would like to have it in the front yard because, you know, I want other people to see I don't spray for pesticides. I have a pollinator garden. You should too, because we need to support these local pollinators. I want this to be an example that others can do the same, and make sure that our neighborhood is a great place for these type of insects.
Does anyone else have any questions for
Yeah.
Mr. Luffman?
Because what you're doing is an educational project. Would you be willing, as the birds and other species actually plant your garden for you, having like a running list of what those flowers are?
Yes, ma'am, I
Because the
did.
uninformed do not know the black-eyed Susan, probably.
Yes, ma'am, I do have a running list. I keep a log of everything that I do in my yard. That's just part of my nature to be very detailed and what are these natural things that are growing that I don't even have to plant. So I do have a running list that's in my binder for my house that I keep.
I have a question. So you have this growing, and to people who aren't familiar with pollinator gardens and what they look like, so just to those people, it's just some tall weeds, and every once in a while you get a pretty flower. We don't know who called this in for code enforcement, but it's somebody that I think believes that these were just weeds that you're growing. Do you, in the area that you live, do you know the people, or could you put out some sort of something in their mailbox, not in the mailbox because that's illegal, but hang it on the mailbox, but put out a note saying that this is what you're doing, this is what you'd like to accomplish, that I'm not growing a front yard full of grass.
Right.
I mean, full of weeds, just so that they have a little bit of a background because.
No
Because of-
problem, let her go.
We all have grandkids. So that would be something that I would suggest. But as far as what I feel like our code enforcement officer responding to this is that it appears to be weeds. So I just trying to think of ways in which to preserve what you're trying to do. You said you wanted to educate your group, your neighbors, so that they could do the same, and possibly put some sort of a border so you do have like a mown grass area and then this really nice pollinator area.
Right.
That's just my
Yeah.
concerns and observation and looking at your plants.
Would you also maybe consider, just for the education of folks in your area, to put some sort of little sign out there that says pollinator garden?
I'd be happy to, and there's even ways to get a certified pollinator garden. I'm happy to do all of this. I have no problem informing my neighbors. I just want to get the approval now so I don't run into this issue again and get fined. Because that's what I don't want to do, is to get fined after I put all this work in and somebody still calls in and says, oh, this isn't allowed. So with the approval, yes, I plan to do all of this. I want to educate people. I want to have a beautiful garden here, but it takes steps. And to do that, I need the approval to make sure that, yes, I am planting the right things. It's not gonna be, I can't plant everywhere in that area, but if I don't want the weeds to exceed 12 inches. I'm gonna do my best, but I don't wanna go out of town one weekend, Cobb enforcement come in, say, you're fined, we already gave you a warning last year. The amendment, or what you went into the council to see was not approved. I just don't wanna be fined again. So that's why I'm trying to go through the necessary process to make sure we do this the right way.
Is it correct that you, after you received your citation, that you did go ahead and mow the area in question?
Yes,
Okay.
I did that a few weeks later because that was when the grass started to die. You know, that's when that pollinator season is over. After that summer dearth, you have a little bit of fall nectar and then it's over with. After that point, I have no problem in mowing the grass. That's what I stated is from March to September is when I would like that thriving pollinator garden. After that, it is gonna be just like everyone else's yard.
Okay. Since you basically have remedied the code violation as it stands now, because you did mow the yard, I would ask that the code violation be nullified. Is that proper? We need a motion.
I think you have a notice of violation, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So he has been advised that the grass is over 18 inches, so he has not received a citation yet.
Oh.
He's making this presentation because he does not want to get fined in the future. And so you all do have the obligation to make a decision as to, because it can reoccur, you have an obligation to make a decision on whether or not code enforcement properly issued a notice of violation or not.
So then if we feel, so in this hearing, we're to determine if our code enforcement officer made the right decision when he issued the notice of violation. And
That's
then
correct.
after that, we could listen to what he would like to do and then put some sort of guidelines around it so that the next time somebody calls, the officer would go out there and there would be some distinction between high grasses and his pollinator. Those are
The decision before you all today is what was the decision proper to issue a notice of violation. We generally don't have guidance, but again, since to your point, Ms. Summerhour, you know, he's fixed the problem now, but he wants to continue to do what he did this past year. So how can he do that and not receive a notice of violation? So it has to be in compliance with our code. We can't change our code. So the conditions that you put on it would have to be in compliance with the code.
It sounds like the solution of the flower garden was a place where he could live comfortably, have the pollinating garden that you are wanting without the encumbrances, if you will, to the general public, and also staying within the code. So if we are in discussion about it, and we can talk about it when it's time, we can talk through, one, deciding whether or not code enforcement did their job on the date of, which is what we're supposed to decide, and then also, coupled with that, providing context for the applicant not to be fined again in the future.
Okay. Any board
Maybe.
members have further questions or concerns?
I guess I just support an area, and I know that you have this mowed down at this certain time, but I just would support an area that is designated for your flower garden pollinator area, and that could be just like a nice little rope that goes around so that if somebody is driving by, they'll realize that you're growing something, and that if code enforcement is called out, then code enforcement will know that this is a pollinator garden. So like a nice little sign. I think there was a sign I saw, I thought.
Yeah.
It said pollinator, which is.
It's for, not to spray pesticides.
Yeah.
Because of local pollinators, all those people who are spraying right next to me are killing all of these pollinators that I'm
Right.
trying to bring in.
So I think if you have like a little identification sign, pollinator garden, it would just help for our code enforcement officers because they're just responding to mostly anonymous phone calls. And it would just help, and then it would help also your neighbors to put something in the mailboxes and just say, this is an awesome thing that we're trying to do.
So sometime in the future, won't this have to be written into the code?
Your mic?
Your mic.
Oh,
I did it.
thank you. I said, won't, in the future, we have to figure out how to write this into the code? Because it's also a point of, I mean, I have those types of flowers in my yard that are native flowers that people would think would be weeds, but I did my research. You can't see it from the front. But don't we have to write this type of thing into the code at some point?
We could, I mean, it could be something that is written into the code at some point in the future.
Yeah. I know it's not an easy process.
We're going through that right now, so.
Just make a motion.
So can we get a motion to either approve or deny code enforcement's actions as it related to the initial citation? I think that's what we're to decide upon. So can I get a motion to approve or deny that? And then we can have further comments or concerns if we need to. And the applicant, you can, I'm sorry, does anybody have any other questions of the applicant? Because if not, we can have him have a seat.
Can I make one last statement?
No, we've closed that part, so if you can have a seat for us, and then we will, Mr. Johnson, did you have anything else that you needed to share before we go to our motion?
I do believe each side is allowed a closing statement, so if he wants to make a closing statement, he can. And then
Understood.
I'll follow up, and then you will close the
Close
public
it.
hearing, and then your deliberations will be held in public.
Very good. If you will.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, sorry, I just want to be clear. So what I need to do is I need to get some sort of small fencing or rope around that area. That and a sign. That is where I'm allowed to have any flowers that I want. Now, what if the grass weeds are over that 12 inches? Am I going to be fined again? And second to that is, what happens after September when all of these flowers are dead and it's just soil? Am I
So-
gonna be fined for that?
So I think first thing is, we don't get to rewrite code here. That's not our purpose. But we're giving you some suggestions that might prevent you from getting cited again. And one of mine would be not to have it right up against the road, because to begin with, odds are that the property that grass is growing on is actually owned by the county and it's in the right of way. And so my suggestion, in addition to those you've already heard, is to move it back away from the road some distance first. Second, have something, whether that be timbers, blocks, something to indicate it's a raised garden and not part of a lawn. Those would be my suggestions to minimize the probability of you ever being cited again. But you just need to know that we're not entering a contract with you, nor do we write code. But
Right, so there is no way to state that this section of 1720 Cedar Grove Drive is.
We're trying to give you some practical ideas.
This board is unable to give you a definitive, this is what will keep you from being fined. We are incapable of doing that. Because what happens is we're depending upon you to do whatever, and we don't know what that whatever is. So we cannot give a blanket check today or any day based on those factors. What we can do and what we are trying to do is give you guidelines to mitigate some of those concerns. What I would say is if you would like to speak to our code enforcement department and our county arborist, if you want to work with those two places to ensure that moving forward, you're in compliance and that they're aware of what it is that you're trying to do, and that whatever it is that you're trying to grow, moving forward does comply or does not exceed the growing height, whatever is decided upon. We are unable to then specify, what that is at this time, but we can give you resources to check out.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess my last question is there any way to give me another opportunity before I get fined? So I know there was a notice this time. Am I able to get another notice just in case something goes wrong? I'm gonna do all of this, but I just don't want to get fined after doing all of this and going, oh, but this is what the board suggested. I don't want to have to go through this process again.
And your concerns are absolutely valid, and we appreciate you expressing that. Again, working with code enforcement and the county arborist, I think will help mitigate all of those questions that you have. If you talk with them, they can give you guidance to keep you in compliance.
Okay.
I think, again, just to reinforce what everybody says, is if you have this designated area and it's just not like, well, that there's something there, like whether it's timbers or it's a little, whatever would say this is a designated area with a signage. I don't think, number one, because code enforcement doesn't have the capability of driving throughout all of Cobb County to get you. So this is somebody who drove by or was in the neighborhood that calls in, and they like the name anonymous, and so they just have to follow up with that. And I think that if that person, then if our code enforcement officer went to see this, they would say, this is definitely a pollinator, this is not a bunch of weeds.
Okay.
And so, so I think that you have enough, I think we've offered you enough suggestions of what you can do, and so that you won't be, unless the rest of your yard goes to weeds, but that it won't be something that's going to be called in and that you're going to get a notice of violation.
Okay.
Do you have any other closing remarks for us? No. Okay. If you would have a seat, and Mr. Johnson, if you would come up to give your closing remarks.
I would just like to remind the board that the decision here is whether or not the notice of violation was correct to be issued on that date on August 26th, and that's the decision. Now, the board might have some other ideas for future direction. Code Enforcement Division Manager has said that, they have to be able to look at something to determine whether it's a violation of county code. If there is an area that is clearly marked, clearly designated, like you would have landscaping, then that provides code enforcement staff to know what is in compliance and what is not. And again, that would be in deference to the decision of this board. But the question here today, we ask you to uphold the decision of code enforcement in the issuing of that notice on August 26th. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, I will open the floor for discussion.
Do we need to close the
We
public
will
hearing?
close the public hearing at this moment,
What is it?
and
Well,
we can have,
Yeah, it's really, it's just an
It's
appeal
informal.
hearing, so it's,
We didn't have a
Since we don't do this often.
we want to make sure we do everything in decent and in order. So in doing so, do we have any discussion needed for this particular case?
I would like to make a motion that on the date of the notice of violation, that there was, it was out of code with the height, and that I agree with the county on their decision to issue the notice.
Is there a second? Call to question?
Oops.
It passes 5-0. The county code enforcement has been upheld in their decision for the August 26th violation.
But I'd like to put a comment in. The challenge they had is they're not educated on what a flower is and what a weed is. And that was brought up in another hearing. That's the biggest challenge they're facing too. Just professionally, there's only so much you can know about things like that.
In this hearing, in this hearing, is there something that we can also make a motion to support that code enforcement or somebody come up with maybe a code that addresses this situation? Because I think more and more people are leaning towards having pollinator gardens, and we've had a number of creative pollinator gardens. So who is the body that puts forth the recommendation to address pollinators so that our code enforcement officers have more of a code amendment to follow?
If we could table that particular question for just a second so that we can finish this particular motion, yes. Go
So,
ahead, Mr. Johnson.
This board has approved a motion to uphold the decision. An order will be drafted that will have to be signed by the chairperson and put into the record, clarifying what the decision was. And I would remind this board as well that the Board of Zoning Appeals, I believe, if I remember the code correctly, can make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners for changes to code based upon what this board sees. And that would be at the discretion of this board to take up to consider at work sessions or and right now there is the Unified Development Code is being considered eventually by the Board of Commissioners. But for the purpose of this hearing, a motion has been made, it's been approved, an order will be drafted to effectuate that decision. And then the other direction, it will be at the discretion of the board.
Wonderful. So is it, per the discussion, is it this decision of the board that we would like to meet with VOC to discuss some of those concerns that we're seeing on a consistent basis? Okay, so just have that on record for doing so.
Ms. Joan, can we do that as a clerk's note?
That'd be awesome.
Okay,
Okay.
and we'll,
There's nothing further.
okay, nothing
So we don't
further?
have to vote on, we all agree. We can go.
I saw unanimous nods. That's not a vote, but unanimous consent.
Wonderful. Well, I think the only thing left to do is to adjourn, if I can have a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All right, call to question. We are adjourned almost. Waiting for
I'm
Barclay.
hitting yes, and it's not liking me.
5-0, we are adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.